Lewis Howes is an entrepreneur and the host of the School of Greatness podcast, one of the top-rated leadership and personal development podcasts on iTunes. He went from growing up depressed, becoming broke, and sleeping on his sister's couch, to changing the lives of millions of people through his podcasts, videos, books, and events. And today we're going to learn his best advice on why you need to do things outside the box. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you believe in yourself more and start your day with confidence. So good morning, I believe in you, and let's do this. Over to you, Lewis Howes.
Everything I do is for a reason too. You know, I try to constantly do things that put me out of a box, that make me uncomfortable, and that challenge me. And talking about masculine vulnerability definitely is a challenge. You know, when I was in high school going into college, my siblings and I made a bet. They all said that I'd be like this drunk jock football player because I was going to play college football. They were like, you're gonna go and be like a frat boy and this and that. And maybe it's part of my ego at the time where I was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I didn't have a sip of alcohol all 4 years of college.
That's amazing.
Never even felt tempted because I just made that into my mind. I was like, I'm gonna be different than what people wanna put me in a box to be. You know, I've still never been drunk because I just continue to carry that on.
Wow.
I was in the school musical, I was in choir, I always did things. You know, I salsa dance, I try to do different things. That
You salsa dance well.
I've been salsa dancing for almost over a decade.
Wow.
Yeah, over a decade. It's a big passion of mine. And I just try to learn, constantly learn things that normally people that look like me, who grew up like me, would never do. Because I feel like there's so much richness of life that I would have missed out on had I stayed in this athletic jock core group that, you know, if I'm generalizing it, just kind of did the same thing and talked the same way and lived a certain lifestyle. And I just didn't want to live that life. I wanted to live a life of abundance, of learning, of constantly questioning who I am and if I'm doing things for the greater good or just for myself.
Most people don't try enough things. Most people do the things that your parents want you to do, add on a couple little things, and then settle because it's time to get practical. I think you have Michael Jordan level talent at something, but chances are the thing that you are the best in the world at is nowhere close to what your parents want you to do. You must continue to reach, to explore, to taste, to test, to try until you find the thing that you love doing so much and could be the world's greatest at, instead of settling for what everybody around you wants you to be. So I like to say yes to things, at least as a first shot. I like to say yes the first time, as long as it's not against my values, as long as it's not hurting somebody else around me, as long as the intention is good. I like to say yes. I think it's a great mindset to get into. Stop being in the no business. Most people look to say no. Try this, no. Try that, no. Join me on this, no. No, 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 no. We're in the no business because we're afraid. Because doing something new is scary. Because we might fail, because we might look bad, because it may not work out. And those are terrible reasons for you not to take action, right? Being scared is not a good enough reason anymore for you to start actually taking action. And you won't know what you're great at. You won't know what makes you come alive until you try it, right? Do you like sushi? I don't know. Not until you try it. You can't think your way through liking sushi. On the surface, it sounds kind of gross, right? It's rice with seaweed and raw fish, and you think I'm gonna like that? But then you try, like, ooh, this is really good. Okay? And you may have a bite and hate it, and that's, you know, the end of sushi for you, awesome, but you don't know. And this is why so many people settle, because you say that your favorite food is pizza, but you've only tried 20 different foods. Meanwhile, there's millions of different possibilities out there. You don't know until you start trying. So you want to default to being in the yes business. Again, caveat, it's not against our values. I'm not asking you to go rob a store. You know, you're not hurting somebody else. Most of the things that you're afraid to say yes to are not actually against your core values or putting yourself or anybody else in harm. This is also one of the things I love about my wife. I think this is really important for relationships as you build up, because being in a relationship with an entrepreneur can be really hard. My wife loves saying yes to things and joining me on my journey. She'll do anything at least once too. So anything from, Wim Hof, we went on a date together, Wim Hof, and sat in ice baths, and she hates being cold, and she's always trying to find ways to stay warm and hack it. I'm sitting here in my office, and we have a separate system when the door is closed. I like keep my office at around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is crazy cold. So she hates the cold, but she was willing to join me for a day at Wim Hof of breathing and sitting in ice baths. She came with me to Sadhguru, even though she doesn't do any meditation. She came with me to a one-day event in Toronto and then a multi-day event in Pennsylvania to learn from Sadhguru about how to meditate. And so just default to being in the yes business. Because most things may not work out. Maybe you go try salsa dancing and you hate it, and maybe you try sushi and you hate it, and maybe you try meditating and you hate it. And don't put so much pressure on this thing having to be the thing that you spend the rest of your life doing. Just go have fun and see if you enjoy it. And even if 85% of the things that you try don't work out, you never go back to it, you never do again, you'll find in that 15% the things that make you truly come alive that you would have never thought you would do. Salsa dancing is actually a great one for me. On paper, I would never do salsa dancing. I never danced growing up. It's not in my family. I never did any kind of dancing. I always felt awkward doing it. I'm taller, so I take giant steps. I don't speak Spanish. I've never heard of salsa music before. All these things where it wouldn't make sense for me to go salsa dancing, right? You say salsa, I'm not gonna do that, forget that. But I met my wife through salsa dancing. It's one of my favorite hobbies to do. I invested in and then bought Toronto Dance Salsa, the largest salsa dance school in Canada, maybe North America. I will teach up to 5,000 people a year how to dance salsa. It's become a big part of my life, even though on paper it doesn't make practical sense. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't say yes. And so start being in the say yes business instead of finding reasons why to say no at the beginning. Now, how do you start to do that? How do you start to actually take those ideas from you and implement them and stop worrying about what other people think? I've got a 3-step process that I think you're going to enjoy. But first, here's a quick message from Lewis House.
Good book by my man, Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve. If you want to learn about your purpose and how to become a better leader in the world, I love this. He says, this is the starting point for everything. If you're confused about what to do next, if you're pressured by others to fit in or live their version of your life, if you feel held back because of people judging you, it's because you don't know who you are and what you stand for. You got to figure out who you are and what you want and how you can serve other people.
Okay, so how do we do it? How do we get the confidence and courage to do the things outside of the box that will help us lead the life that we want to live? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is trust your bold ideas. Man, this is one of the greatest pieces of advice I think you could take as an entrepreneur. There will be moments in your life when you're feeling bold, you're feeling confident, you're feeling inspired. Maybe it's even right now watching this video. You feel inspired to do something, to think bigger, to take action. And you come up with an idea to say, I want to X, right? This big, bold idea that you've got. And then what's going to happen is throughout the rest of today and then the next day for sure, you're going to tell yourself, I can't do that. And your brain's going to find all the reasons why you can't do that because you don't have the schooling, education, resources, connections, background, friendships, whatever to make it happen. Trust your bold ideas. Default to thinking that your bold ideas are actually the best things for you, that you have to chase them down, even though they don't make practical sense right now, because your heart and your head are very rarely aligned. You make the big decisions with your heart and the small ones with your head. Your head only understands the world that currently exists. Your head is trying to keep you safe, practical, smart. Your heart can build something new. That idea that you're coming up with doesn't make sense to your head because it hasn't been done before. Therefore, it can't be done. But your heart can make something new. And so learning to trust those bold ideas and look back on them instead of saying, I can't do that, saying I must do that. Number 2 is go from idea to action. As soon as you get an idea, especially when you're feeling bold, powerful, confident, the best thing you can do is then take immediate action. We delay, we procrastinate, we plan, we spend so much of our best time with energy planning on the next step instead of taking the next step. And then again, you wake up the next day and you say, I can't do that, and you throw the plan away. Instead, you switch it. Idea to action. Doesn't mean planning is garbage and useless. Planning is important, but it's not your first step. If you are making planning your first step, you are losing. You're not taking anywhere near the amount of action you should be taking on your idea. You've been sitting on ideas for way too long because you default to planning mode. Idea, you do something. Idea, action. Idea, action. Idea, action. Even some small little action. Don't worry about what's the perfect action. Now you're planning. Nope. Stop planning. Action. Just do something. Anything to build momentum. Because when you come back to it the next day, If you've committed to somebody else, if you've already taken action, you took the hardest step, which is the first step, just to get the ball rolling. Now you can use your head, now you can plan, now you can create a better path forward, but at least you're on a path and you're moving. Planning does not count as moving. Go from idea to action right away. And then step number 3 is understand what's the reason for the no. Why are you saying no? You get an idea or somebody suggests something to you, what's the reason behind the no? The only acceptable reason is that's not an expression of myself. That's not how I express myself, right? Or that's against my values. Most of the time though, that's not the reason, or it's not the full reason. Most of the time, you're afraid of judgment, you're afraid of people looking at you, you're afraid of failing especially in front of somebody else, right? You'll fail if nobody will see it, but you're afraid of failing in front of somebody else. Most of the time, the reason for you saying no is not a reason that you're proud of. And that's what I want to change. I want you to learn to start making decisions that make you proud of you. That if you're saying no, you're proud of that no. And if you're saying yes, you're proud of that yes. And having the discipline to ask yourself that question, because you'll default to no, you'll default to practical, you'll default to safe, and then look in the mirror and hate yourself. This is the path to self-love, to self-respect, to self-confidence, is saying yes and doing the difficult thing. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, question of the day, I wanna know, what is your big, bold idea that you need to have more faith in, more trust in, more belief in? Let me know what that is. Put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in a video, you're still here watching, I wanna celebrate you. Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. If that's you, if you commit to watching this video and then taking immediate action, give me a hashtag believe down in the comments and also tell me where you're from. I wanna celebrate you.
See, someone woke me up. That's all I want to do is someone else. What the man said to me, the first guy, he said, you can have whatever you want. Well, you know, you get thinking that you can get out of the box. That's why you've been given an imagination, to get out of the box. It's with your imagination that you build images of what you want. And if you can build the image, you can do it. You can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. When we understand that, like I would imagine this goes out to a lot of athletes, doesn't it? Well, they can have anything they want. They got to pay the price. And when doubt comes in, kick it out. You can't afford the doubt.
If you want to know how to create an environment of success around you like Lewis Howes, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.